Okay, so another story here. 12-year-old might have grown your food, and in many states, that's perfectly legal. On Reddit, Professional Ninja 7 says, "The main problem I have with child labor is that poorer families might require their children to work to pay the bills. There's a difference between making your kid work for their own improvement and doing it to expand your budget." And that's really where the core of this is. So that's what I'm going to follow throughout this entire thing. This isn't just some image of, oh, little Timmy working on his dad's farm, working hard, American dream. No, these people aren't working more than likely on their dad's farm, okay? They're working for somebody else. They're an employee. Okay, so this is from Vox. And the subtitle here, Republicans are rolling back child labor laws, but they've always been weak on farms. So we're going to follow a middle schooler by the name of Jacqueline Aguilar. So starting from age 11, from 5 a.m. to 2 p.m., 6 to sometimes 7 days a week at $10 an hour, Aguilar would walk up and down rows of lettuce, weeding and adjusting lettuce heads to make sure they're grown properly. Now, I know there's probably a sliver of some of you that are just like, well, that doesn't sound too bad. My children do stuff out in the yard. I make them do yard work. This is like big agriculture. She said, physically, it was super draining. My feet were constantly hurting. So many blisters on my hands. They go on to say that Aguilar's first summer of employment was technically illegal, though hardly unusual in agriculture. But once she turned 12, it was perfectly legal for her to work long, grueling hours under a scorching sun, even though her peers would have to wait until they were 14 to work in nearly any non-agricultural related job. In many states, including Colorado, children as young as 12 can harvest tobacco, milk 1,500-pound cows, or work in fruit and vegetable production like Aguilar, but they can't tear movie tickets or bag groceries. It's because the agricultural sector plays by a different set of employment rules than most of the rest of the economy. So jumping back to Reddit, Silence Dogood says, in many cases, it's the result of lobbying efforts by the National Restaurant Association, the other NRA, and other restaurant and grocery lobbying groups. There's a labor shortage in the restaurant and grocery industries right now. Two options to address that shortage are to either raise wages or increase the size of the available labor pool. So this is big business, big agro, big grocery, big restaurant. It's all of the above. It's basically big interest that has a lot of money in the game, so they can hire a bunch of people in order to persuade our lawmakers, or well, let's just say bribe our lawmakers. Thank you, Citizens United. And it doesn't just stop here. You really have to think about the layer cake of effects that this truly does have on a child. So on top of an age gap, there's also a time gap. Under federal law, 12-year-olds can work on farms for an unlimited number of hours, so long as they don't miss school and have permission of their parents. That just sounds like some basic rule that someone just kind of thought up on the spot and didn't really dive too deep into it. But while there are federal limits on the number of hours 14 and 15-year-olds can work in every other industry. It's crazy that for some reason we can see the more grueling thing as being acceptable. There's also a risk gap too. Kids can perform agricultural tasks designated as hazardous by the U.S. Department of Labor, like operating heavy machinery at age 16, while similarly hazardous work in other fields is restricted to 18. Even kids under 12 can work on farms if the farm's staff size is small enough, or if the Department of Labor grants a special waiver. Kids any age can work on their parents' farm. Even kids under 12 can work on farms if the farm's staff size is small enough. Ridiculous. All right, so the parents' farm one, I mean, that's a it really just kind of depends on that one, because that can be something that can be a good thing for the kid to a certain degree, but you also have to make sure that it's not like you're just forcing them to just remain on the family farm and take it over one day, because that might not be what they want. But yeah, I already did a video when it was discovered that there was like hundreds of children working in meat processing plants, working with heavy equipment. On Reddit, Frogs01 says, there's a Reddit post about a 14-year-old girl who got a job to pay for her dance equipment. She busted her butt, worked hard, and was finally able to get all of her equipment only for her parents to pawn it off because they decided she needed to help them pay bills with her hard-earned money. I think kids should have the opportunity to be able to earn money, but there should be laws in place to prevent crappy parents from exploiting their kids. The problem is how to enforce. Yes, that is the problem, for sure. But there are definitely crappy parents out there. We hear about that all the time when it comes to show business, show kids, parents that take advantage of their children's success and talent and fame. But yeah, the whole thing is just very depressing, and there's absolutely no reason why we should be rolling back labor laws. Just absolutely not at all. So this is actually becoming more prevalent, and especially in Republican states. That's just where it's happening. The meatpacking stuff, the big pushers of this seem to be the Republicans, loosening laws, rolling back ages in, a variety of states. And I know you're going to look at this and you're going to say, oh, California. Well, there's a lot of Republicans in California. Remember? I love Arnold Schwarzenegger. He ran as a Republican. So just remember these things. I'm not saying that Arnold Schwarzenegger was bad. He actually has a documentary on Netflix right now that's really amazing. So I recommend all of you watch it. He's an awesome person. But the ones that are down with loosening these child labor restrictions, you're insane. You're the people that are willing to let little kids' hands go into machines like back in the day. That's you. That's you. It's children. So if you're thinking about what topics you should consider for the next election, a 12-year-old might have grown your food, and in many states, that's perfectly legal.